Good day. My name is Ebenezer Esa with student number 200491457. 200491457. I'm here these days to present the recording on my assignment 3, be that 1008, assignment 3, analyze data in Hadoop. Analyze data in Hadoop. So before I start, I just want to quickly talk about the data that we'll be talking about today. I want to quickly talk about the data I'll be talking about today. This data was the data that I stored on my local drive from assignment 2, and it was a clean data that was clean from the previous assignment. So this was clean. I had 4 tables, and they were summary of Ontario school about COVID-19 cases for 2020 and 2021. So I will be doing some analysis on this data today, and at the same time, I want to show you where uh, where my data is being stored on my Hadoop. There are several ways, by which we can get our data into our HDFS or Hadoop cluster. But I will talk about 2 ways today. Number one is you can get them through Hive. Now as you can see, I've been able to go into my Hive, but I'm not going to be going through Hive. So let me just talk briefly using Hive. If I'm going to use Hive, now I'm in Hive. Uh, we did this in the first semester where we created. The first thing you do is you are going to run your Hive QL, that is the query, by creating the database. When you create the database, then you use that database. When you use that database, you are going to create your table. When you create your table, then you insert your table. So I try to write the code. These are the codes for that. If I want to go by that, you show create your database, create a database assignment, use database, then create your table. You create your table. This is what to create a table. Then after you create your table, you can then, you load your data inside it. But because of time, I will not be doing that. I want to go through, the other way to get my data in my HDFS. Now, I have my Hadoop cluster running. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to go to my utility. I'm going to browse file system. So now you see that I only have user and temp file. So let's create another directory. Let's call it assignment 3. Oh, sorry. Assignment assignment 3. Let's call that assignment 3. Let's create it. Now you have it. You can open it. You see that there is nothing there. But let's try to get my data in it. Let's browse for the data. This is my data. You can load everything. Open it, then upload. You see that they are coming. They're coming up. So now I have my data in. So let me just check the table. Let me check the table. If you check the table, you see uh, in my head, which means that the first part of the table, which is initial, when you run it, then the tail we talk about the last aspect of the data. So by this we got this in our HDFS. So now let's go to the analysis. I'll be using Tableau for my analysis, but before we go into that, I want to quickly talk about my questions. The questions. So I've decided to go, I've decided to have though the assignment require us to have 5 questions, but I decided to go by 6 because I have a very large and huge data. I have a lot to talk about my data, but I said let me just limit it to this. So the first one I will be talking about is what is the cumulative score COVID cases in Ontario in year 2020 and 2021. Then I want to talk about how many schools were closed. I mean, during, Ontario, in Ontario during the period under consideration. Then we want to also talk about what are confirmed COVID-19 cases per quarter and which quarter actually had highest confirmed cases of COVID-19. Then the question 4 would be which quarter had the highest confirmed, staff cases. We have different type of people that contacted cases, COVID rather. We have staff, we have a student, we have a lot of people. So we want to know how many staff, had confirmed cases. Then we want to also talk about which of the school board had the highest COVID-19 cases, that is number of confirmed student cases. Then the last one, which board had the least cases. So let's jump into my Tableau to be able to answer all these questions. Now, before we go into answering of questions, I told you there are 4 different tables. So the first thing I did was I tried to link all the 4 tables together before I start anything. So I was able to link them together using different relational keys, something that look similar to all of them. So I got that. Then let's go into the first sheet to be able to answer the first question, which was what is the cumulative school COVID-19 cases in Ontario in both year under consideration. Looking at this bar chart, you will see that the first one here, the very first one here was the highest because he had 810,000 cases were recorded for those 2 years. So it had the highest. So, this is the highest, the cumulative relative, case per, this is the number of the cumulative cases that were recorded. 810 was the number. So how many schools were closed? We want to know how many schools that were closed during this period. The number of schools that were closed, there were 88 schools. 88 schools were closed. 88 schools were closed. We don't want to mention these schools because of I don't want to stigmatize anybody. So that's why I'm just talking about number and not talking about the specific schools. So 88 schools were closed. Then number 3 was that what are confirmed COVID-19 cases per quarter and which quarter had highest cases. Now let's go to this place. We sheet 2 will help us to answer several questions. Now this is divided into 2 years, like I said, 2020 and 2021. Looking at this, it's also divided into different quarters. We know that in a year we have 4 different quarters: quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, and quarter 4. Now this started at quarter 3, because COVID started late, and by the time COVID, I think in Canada COVID started around March or April. So by the time they started taking record and COVID immediately started, the school were shut. Then for quarter 2, students were on summer break, so they went back to school in September, at the beginning of the 3rd quarter. So because of that was why we were able to get this. So the total confirmed cases then was 2,377, and the count of schools that were affected in Ontario were 1,980. Then in terms of staff, it was just 485 that were infected. Now when we got to quarter 4, because then that was when we were shouting second wave, second wave, was it second or third wave? It was shouting second wave stuff, and it was getting to festive season. So we recorded a lot of cases among students. So the thing rose to 61,000 cases in Ontario at quarter 4. Now, not that alone, the number of schools also rose to 35,000 from 1,000. Now, in terms of the number of student staff that were affected, it also rose from 485 to 8,000. So by the time we got to quarter one in 2021, at this time, there have been talk about vaccination, don't travel, travel restriction, and then every other thing. So the things started coming down. Everybody was shouting. There were a lot of, things that have been put in place. They were, let's flatten the curve, let's flatten the curve. So we can see the effect of flattening the curve now because the total confirmed case started coming down to 44,000 from 61. So we started having a little light at the end of that tunnel. The number of schools also reduced to 44,000, 24,000. The staff that were also confirmed, were also, so by the end of quarter two, because this data stop at quarter two, we were good. We were so good because the confirmed staff cases, fell to 2,000, and the number of school, also came down a little from 24,000 to 7,000. That was a very good, reduction. Looking at 44, to 14, that was good. So let's check our next question. He said, which quarter had the highest confirmed case? We can see it there that the quarter that had the highest confirmed case was quarter 4, 2020. Now, the next question was, which of the school board had the highest COVID-19? That is the number of confirmed cases. Then I will combine it with question 6. Then which board also had the least? So I will be wrapping it up on sheet 3. So I decided to use heat map so that it can give us a clear indication and a clear picture of what you are talking. So in terms of school board, you can see from here that the highest school board that has the highest number of confirmed cases was Toronto District School Board with 3,208 confirmed cases. Now you can see, followed by this, but the least was Superior Greenstone District School Board with just 1 confirmed case. So with this, you see that there are a lot to talk about. With my analysis, I have a lot, if not because of time, I have a lot to talk about. I would have loved to go into time series and the rest like that. So I think you enjoyed the little I've been able to pass across. Thank you, and God bless.